Welcome to Microtechie YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to talk about the filter formula, which got introduced in 365 version and in 2021 version. So let's get into the Excel screen and try to understand how to use this formula and what are the extra things this formula can do, what your normal filter cannot do. So let's get into the Excel right away. All right, here I am in the Excel right now. In case if you want to use this Excel, I have provided you the downloadable link in the description section. You can download and you can work along with me, or you can watch the entire video and you can practice later as well. So let's try to understand whether your filter formula can do what the normal filter can do. So we're going to start with a very simple condition. In this data, I want to filter the data pertaining to the salesperson Janet, which we can do that with a simple filter, but we will see how to do this with the filter formula. So equal to filter. First few things which you guys have to understand why filter formula is very special. First of all, it's a formula, so the results are going to be given to you in a different place, not in the place where you already have the data. Second thing, because it's a formula, any input in the formula, if you change it, the result is also going to be changed dynamically. Okay. Third, before writing this formula, please make sure you have the headers ready, because that's one of the best practice we always recommend. So while you select, it's better to select without the header. The results will also be coming without the header. Third, the result of the filter formula is array output. So you're normally any formula when you write in Excel, the result will be simply one value. But when I say array formula, the result of array formula will be multiple values into one formula. Okay, so it's going to throw up 4 different columns of values and multiple rows also it's going to come in. So you will see a kind of a border appearing over around your result. Nothing to panic, is nothing but the array type of output what you're looking at it. So let's go ahead and get into the formula. Let's try to understand each of that input so that you can do all your changes, customizations on those inputs areas and try to use this formula to the fullest extent. So the first input where it is asking array is nothing but your actual data which you got to select, comma. The second input which says include is nothing but in which column do you want me to put the filter and what is the condition I want to check on the column. So the column where I want to put the filter is a salesperson column. So I'm going to select that column, and what I want to check in that column is I want to filter for the person Janet. So I need to put this like an expression equal to Janet. Either I can type it or I can refer it from the cell. The advantage of referring from cells, if I change that cell value, my formula result is also going to change, which I told you in the beginning. Because it's a formula, the results will change dynamically if you change any of the input of the formula. So remember, the include portion, whatever expression you write, it should be a Boolean expression or a logical expression. The result of that expression should be a true or false. So it gets into your data and gets into each record and checks whichever satisfies and gives a true, and only those records will be pulled out as a result for you. So let's go to the last input of this formula, which says if empty, which means if there are no records satisfying the criteria which you're asking for, what you want to see. Do you want to see any specific text which will inform the user that, hey, no records are found or no duplicates are found, something like that? You can put that within the double quotes, or you can simply don't want to say anything, you can put a double quotes and a close double quotes, but we would not recommend that because we don't know whether something is happening or not. If you leave it as blank, it's better to have such kind of words. Okay, so when you hit enter, now you can see you've got all the data pertaining to Janet, just like which you can get it with a normal filter. Things are happening pretty straightforward. So yes, your filter formula can handle a single condition, but will it update if I change it to a different salesperson name? Yes, updates. Then your filter formula is dynamic and it works as well. And remember, I told you that there will be a kind of a border appearing over your output. This is what I was talking about, which you can see it around the results. So nothing to panic. It's the result is nothing but it's coming out of the array result. The rest of the cells, if you click, you can see the formula bar is grayed out, but the actual formula, when you want to edit, you might have to go to the first cell where you wrote the formula, where you can go ahead and edit, and things will get applied for the rest of the columns automatically. So let's go ahead and handle few more requirements. Can it handle multiple conditions, same column, different columns? Yeah, all those we have to check it. which your filter can handle without any hassle. So let's go to sheet 2 where I want to filter for Frank and Julian. So let's go ahead and see here. Let's put Frank and Julian. We want to see it. So if it's a normal filter, how do I filter for Frank and Julian? So I can click this drop down. I can go ahead and check box and activate Frank and Julian, but if I want to do it through the text filter, how do I do it? So I would go to the custom filter and equals to Frank and the next person equals to Julian. So when I click this, when I selected it, see, I kept and as a logic between these two conditions. When I click OK, you could see nothing is turning up because basically it's not and logic, basically it's or logic, because you have to tell the Excel that, hey, when you're filtering, retain the data in the report when it is either Frank or Julian. But when we talk normally, we used to say Frank and Julian, but it's not the case when it comes to logical test, because it's either Frank or Julian. The record has to be there in the output. So when I change it to or, you can see it works out. So that's in the case of filter, but how about in the filter formula? How do you specify the or logic? So remember, there are two conditions are going to come in and we have a requirement of or logic. So when you want or logic, you need to use the symbol plus for the or logic, and you need to use the symbol star when you have and logic requirements. Okay, so let's go ahead and use this plus symbol, see how it works out. Equal to filter, the first input is the entire data, and comma, the second input is two conditions on the same column. Because you have more than one condition, it is better you put each of these conditions in the respective brackets. So I'm going to select the salesperson column should be equal to Frank, close that include part, the first condition, or the next one is on the same salesperson column and it should be equal to the second salesperson, close the bracket for the second condition. So two conditions with the or logic has been provided in the include statement, comma. Now, if both the conditions fails and if you do not find any records, what do you want to see? I want to see simply the word no records, close the double quotes, close the braces. When we hit enter, now you could see the data of Frank and the Julian. Remember, I can change it to any other person name, and it's going to do that because it's a formula and it's dynamic. So we could see that your filter formula can handle multiple conditions in the same column. So let's go to the sheet 3, and this time we'll see whether it can handle multiple conditions under different columns. We want to see the data of Frank or the chocolates only. So here we got two conditions. Another salesperson, it should be Frank, but we don't want to see all the data of Frank, only the sales done for the chocolate. So two conditions, but here we need and logic between them because salesperson has to be Frank and the billed item should be chocolate. So because you already know the symbol for the and, which is the star, all we have to see how do we write this statement. So equal to filter, the first input is the array, we select comma, the first include is on the salesperson column and that should be equal to Frank, close the first condition. Because it's and logic, we're using a star, and the second include statement is on the billed item and that should be equal to chocolates, and close the bracket for the second criteria, comma, if nothing is found, we simply want the word no records, close the double quotes, close the braces. Now you could see we are looking at the transactions of Frank with where the product is also. So there are only 3 transactions we have for Frank and where chocolates. But if I change any of the existing transaction for Frank from some other product to chocolates, yes, it is also getting picked up. All right, so it can handle and logic, it can handle or logic, it can handle single logic. Let's get into the sheet 4 and see that whether it can filter the blanks, because in filter there is a option. You see sometimes if that column contains a blank cells, you get to see a blank option as well. Can I do that with the filter formula? So here what we want to filter is, can you filter those transactions where there is no billed items at all? So let's go ahead and write the formula. Filter, the array is the entire data set, comma, the include is going to take billed item column where I am going to check for blank. How do I check for blank? open double quotes, close double quotes. That means I'm checking those transactions where the billed items are empty. There are three such transactions. So let's see. No empty records. So we could see it picked up those three transactions where the billed item is empty. So yes, filter formula can also filter the blanks, but you need to give which column you want to search for the blanks, and then it's going to get it for you. So let's go to the next one and see what do we have here. Can you filter the top 3 billed amount transactions? So remember, there is an option called top 10 in a normal filter. When you put a filter on the numbered columns, you can see here top 10, above average. So I'm going to put that into test also to see whether the filter formula can handle that. So let's go ahead and write the formula equal to filter. The first input is array. Let's go ahead and choose that, comma. The include column this time is going to be the billed amount column, and that should be, the criteria is going to be, should be greater than the third largest value, so that I get to see the top 3 values. So greater than or equal to the third largest value, so that the greater than or equal to third largest value is third largest value also I'm going to get it, second largest value I'm going to get it, the first largest value also I'm going to get it. So that's my include logic. But watch it, if you want something special, sometimes we might have to include a new formula inside to get certain things done here. Remember, the top 10 is also a new feature which got introduced in the latest versions. So before 2007 version, we were not having such thing in place actually. Yeah, come on. So we're going to say no records, close the braces. There you got the top 3 sales values. Okay. Similarly, if I want to get the bottom 3, then instead of large, it will be small, and that will get you the bottom 3 transactions as well. So let's go to the next sheet to see what this requirement is. Filter those transactions which are above the average billed amount. So the average is 1031, which we're already having it over here. Anything above average, we need to get it. So let's go ahead and see how we can get this done. So we probably refer to this as well, but how do we put this into formula directly? So filter, the first input is array, comma, the include is going to be the billed amount column, and greater than, just like we did for the large formula, we're going to use average formula here, select them, close the bracket, and that's our include statement. So we're going to say that whichever values are greater than the average value, then get me that, else show me no records, close the braces. And we could see that we are looking at the data, whichever is greater than the average. And yes, this proves your filter formula can also handle that above average, below average, top 10, all those can be done. Now we are getting into the phase what your filter tool cannot do, but filter formula can do. Watch closely. The requirement is filter all the transactions of Frank, but for others, we want only the chocolate sales, because here filter all the Frank sales, filter all the chocolates. So when I filter Frank, I want to see the data of all the products, but for others, I want to see only the chocolates sales only. So basically what I need here is OR logic between the conditions and between the columns, which your filter cannot do. Advanced filter is the tool which can do such requirements. Now, if you guys are new to advanced filter area, I have provided you the link for the advanced filter video. You can check it out and you learn that video and then come back, and then you can continue with the rest of the video, or you can just look at this video and start grasping something out. So here the condition is 2 conditions and we need OR logic between them. You guys already know the plus symbol is used for OR logic, so let's go ahead and use that right now. Filter, first one is the array, comma, the next one is the include column, but remember we got 2 conditions here. It's better to put it inside the separate bracket. So we're gonna go ahead and select the salesperson column where it has to be equal to Frank, close the first condition, and it's an OR logic. So we go to the second condition, we're gonna select that, and that should be equal to chocolates, and we're gonna close. So that's our include statement, comma, if nothing is found, simply tell me no records, close the braces, hit the enter. Now you could see we are looking at all the transactions of Frank irrespective of the product, but for the rest of the people, Williams, James, Julian, Janet, we are looking at only the chocolates transactions. So this proves that your filter formula can handle the advanced filter logic which your normal filter tool cannot do. Even if you guys are good enough in advanced filter, you guys will agree with me that your advanced filter is not dynamic. When the changes happens, you might have to redo the entire advanced filter process. But if you have the filter formula in your version, I would suggest you that you can shift to the filter formula rather than using a simple filter and advanced filter. Filter formula can be really powerful, which I've shown you in this video. Now, I hope this video would have enlightened the idea about the filter formula. If you have liked this video, hit the like button and share it to your friends and colleagues. If you're the first time viewer of the channel, do not forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification and the bell icon so that next time when we come up with an interesting video like this, you will be notified. We'll meet again in another video with another interesting topic. Until then, take care of yourself. Signing off, Hariharan.